Good day! Magandang araw! Maayong adlaw mga estudyante sa grade 7 dinhi sa Dakbayan sa Davao. Ug sa uban nga nangatulog pa karong tungura, bangon! Bangon na aron dili ta maulahi sa good news. Ako si Teacher May ug karon atong pagasugdan ang atong pagatun-an karong adlaw sa grade 7 science. Get your module in Science 7 for Quarter 1, Week 1 with the title Scientific Investigation. Of course, provide yourself with a notebook and a writing pen. But before that, here are some of the following reminders in using this module. First, use the module with care. Do not put unnecessary marks on any part of the module. Use a separate sheet of paper in answering the exercises. Second, don't forget to answer what I know before moving on to the other activities included in the module. Read the instruction carefully before doing each task. Fourth, observe honesty and integrity in doing the task and checking your answers. Fifth, finish the task at hand before proceeding to the next. And the last, return this module to your teacher or facilitator once you are through with it. The long wait is over. We are now ready to learn our first lesson in Science 7 for this school year 2020-2021. Of course, since you are not allowed to go out from your homes, we will all together learn our lessons in a very unique way. That is, through guided teleradyo broadcasting. We teachers prepared this video in line with your module to guide you as we learn in this new normal. For this week, here is our most essential learning competencies or MELC. To describe the components of a scientific investigation. This MELC is unpacked into the following, which will also be our objectives. First, identify the steps of scientific method. Second, use the scientific method in solving problem through an experiment. And the last, third, relate scientific method in daily life. For this week, our lesson will be on scientific investigations. How do scientists solve problems? Unsa ni nga mga problema? Mga obserbasyon sa atong kalibutan, atong environment, sa hangin, yuta, pati na ang tubig. Sa pagkakaron, unsa man ang dakong problema na gipinangkamutang isolve sa atong mga scientists, sa mga doctors ug mga pharmaceuticals. Tama! Kining atong ginaatubang na pandemic, ang paghimog antivirus against sa COVID-19. Unsa ang mga pamaagi sa mga scientists on how to solve scientific problems? Our key question for today is, how do scientists solve scientific problems? Scientists follows a series of step-by-step investigation called the scientific method. Let us find out the series of steps of a scientific method to solve everyday problems. All we have to do is read and understand the context below to find these steps. Are you ready? Let's start! Science is a way of thinking and a way of gathering knowledge about the world that is both accurate and reliable. It is the quest to understand and improve our knowledge of the world around us and how the things in work and how they work the way they do. The scientific method is like a roadmap and that you follow to get to that destination. It is the process by which a science is carried out, as in other areas of inquiry. Science, through scientific method, can build on previous knowledge and develop a more sophisticated understanding of each topic of study over time. When using scientific method to carry out your own investigation, the first thing you need to do is observe and ask questions. Just look at the things around you. Does things make you curious? Does something seem strange to you? Do you wonder what causes something or why something happens? Have you asked yourself, why is the sky blue? What makes soda fizzy? The possibilities for observations and questions are endless. The next scientific method will involve you to make hypotheses. Hypothesis is an educated guess. It is a preliminary answer to the question you have asked that you will test to see if it seems to be true. Keep in mind that it does not matter whether your hypothesis is right or wrong. The next step is to test your hypothesis, wherein you will design and conduct an experiment. After your experiment, make sure to record your observations and data so you will be able to analyze the results. Finally, you need to draw conclusions. The main aim is to summarize the findings of your experiment and determine whether your hypothesis is accepted or rejected. Did you understand the context? You can now write the 6 steps of the scientific method in a separate sheet of paper. Inyong sundon ang diagram na makita sa inyong module. Pause this video while you are answering the activity, after which, return to this video to continue. Using the diagram, let us identify the steps of the scientific method. When we say steps, remember that you cannot proceed to the next step unless you are done with the previous. What are those steps? First, make an observation. Second, come up with a question. Third, develop a hypothesis or prediction. Fourth, conduct an experiment or test the hypothesis. Fifth, record and analyze the result. And the last step is draw conclusions. Let's apply what we have just learned. There are tons of everyday activities that would make cool science experiments using the scientific method. Let's have this sample situation. A student noticed that ice melted fast in water. This statement is an observation. The student's observations should lead to some sort of a questions. Example of this question could be, does ice melt faster in different liquids? Curiosity on what happens to the ice in liquids is a simple science experiment perfect for using the scientific method. You have made your observations and you have your questions. Now, you need to make a hypothesis or prediction about what you think will happen next. A hypothesis is not simply a guess. A hypothesis is an educated guess or a tentative answer to the problem. It is a prediction on what might happen next. Let's go back to the question. Does ice melt faster in different liquids? Let's say the student would want to compare which would make ice melt faster. Would it be a cup of juice or a cup of water? The student thinks that ice will melt faster in juice than it will in water. This statement is his hypothesis. Let's make another example. Arnold observed that there are mango seeds growing near a sandy beach. He wonders, what happens to the growth of mango seeds if table salt was added to the soil? What could be his hypothesis? If the amount of salt added to the soil increases, then the growth of mango seeds decreases. This is a good hypothesis. Here's another situation. Tomato seeds grow faster in colder temperature. A hypothesis for this could be, if tomato seeds were planted in colder temperature, then the seeds will grow at a faster rate. You notice that an if and then statement can be used in stating a hypothesis. And this is easier to do. We are making a prediction. It is forecasting what will happen next. Previously, we made a prediction that ice will melt faster in juice than in water. And now we must test our hypothesis. We will set up an experiment with a glass of juice, a glass of water, and an ice cube for each setup. For the best experiment, only one thing should change. Here, we are changing the type of liquid we used, but keeping the ice cube, the temperature, and the measurements of the liquid the same. If too many factors change at once, you cannot accurately state what the results are. The liquid should be roughly the same temperature, as close as possible, and measured to the same amount, so we left them out to come to room temperature. This could also be tested right out of the fridge. Set up a stopwatch or a set time limit to observe the changes. You notice that there are some conditions we made with our experiment. These conditions, such as changing the type of liquid, but the amount of ice cubes, the temperature, and measurements of the liquids are kept the same. This is what we call in an investigation as variables. This is important so that we can have a fair test. That is, changing one factor or condition while keeping other conditions the same or constant. What are variables? Identifying and controlling variables involve the process of deciding which variables or factors will influence the outcome of an experiment, situation, or event, and deliberately control all recognized variables in a systematic manner. Variables in an experiment may be independent or dependent. The variable that is being manipulated or controlled is called independent variable. The dependent variable changes because of a test. It is the effect that arises from the changes in the independent variable. Moving on to the next step, which is to record and analyze the results. Make sure to record what is happening, as well as the results. Note changes of specific time intervals or after one set time interval. When each ice cube is completely melted, add drawings if you wish at the end of the results. Was your prediction accurate? If it is not accurate, state the reason or reasons. And the final step is draw conclusions. This is an opportunity to talk about your hypothesis, your experiment, your results, and your conclusion, which is the final answer to your problem or experiment. Ug karon, ato nang nahuman ang basic steps sa scientific method. Adunay mga activities sa inyong module na dapat answeran bago i-submit sa inyong mga advisors. Kini ang mga bulahaton. First, what I know. Inyo na kining nahimo bago ni natanaw aning video. Second, what's more? Third, what I have learned. Fourth, what I can do. Fifth, assessment. Sixth, additional activity. You can also watch other related videos on YouTube on the same topic, Scientific Method for Grade 7 for Enrichment. Una nato tapusan ang atong programa, ato usa pasalamatan ang tanang magtutudlo sa Science 7 sa Davao City National High School ug ang among department head na si Sir Alfredo A. Cabunillas. Dagang salamat usab kay Ma'am Evelyn E. Magno, Principal 4, Davao City National High School. Let's not forget, panatilihin ang bayanihan tungo sa kalidad na edukasyon para sa kabataan. Hangtod sa sunod na higayon, kini si Teacher May Juniverly A. de la Cruz ug magkita-kita usab kita sa sumusunod na mga videos.